Beginning of the end.
Now Russia, Prussia, Britain, and Sweden united against Napoleon. Napoleon hoped that one decisive victory in Central Europe could turn his luck. However, he didn't have enough soldiers, and he lost even more soldiers. In 2 months, he lost 400,000 soldiers against the Allied forces.
A year ago, the whole of Europe was marching alongside of us. Today the whole of Europe is marching against us.
At the beginning of 1814, the Allies invaded France. Even his father-in-law had joined the coalition against Napoleon. On the 5th of January 1814, Napoleon said goodbye to his wife and son.
Goodbye, my family. I will see you again very soon.
He would never see them again. On the 31st of March 1814, the Allies marched into Paris. The war was over. Napoleon was psychologically crushed. He poisoned himself. But he didn't die. A British warship carried Napoleon into exile to the island of Elba. A small island in the Mediterranean near Corsica. He was 45 years old. He had won and lost an empire.
100 days and the end.
Napoleon was not a prisoner in Elba. The Allies forbade him to leave the island.
May I go to France?
But he didn't live like a prisoner. He was the Emperor of Elba. He ruled the island.
Clean the streets. Collect the garbage. This is my island. I want it clean.
Yes, sire.
At first he was excited about it.
You must wake up at 5. Work hard.
Yes, sire.
But then he was tired of it. He was bored.
It is just a small island. It is so boring.
In France, the Allies had restored monarchy. Louis XVIII was made the king. However, he wasn't a popular king. French people didn't like him. Napoleon thought that he could have a chance if he returned to France.
People don't like Louis. I think they would support me if I returned.
On February 1815, he escaped from Elba and returned to France. The king sent a regiment of soldiers to stop him. When they found Napoleon, he stepped out in front of them.
Soldiers, if there is one among you who wants to kill his emperor, here I am.
Two weeks later, Napoleon was back in Paris. The king had fled. Napoleon was the emperor again. Napoleon's enemies united once again. They declared him an outlaw. Napoleon marched toward Waterloo with an army of 73,000. He wanted to destroy the British army. before the Prussians, Russians and the Austrians arrived. The battle took place on the 18th of June 1815. The Prussians arrived in time to help the British. They defeated Napoleon. 4 days later, Napoleon abdicated his throne.
Okay. I'm leaving my throne. I'm not the emperor anymore.
He asked the British to let him live in a country house near London.
I only want to live in a country house near London.
The British refused. They sent him back to exile. But this time they chose a remote island. The island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic Ocean. When Napoleon saw the island, he said, "This is going to be my grave." He was very unhappy.
I want to fall asleep and not wake up for a year or two.
On this island he was a prisoner, guarded by 2,000 British soldiers, and 2 British warships that circled the island 24 hours a day. Napoleon didn't know what to do on the island. He read, wrote, gardened, and dictated his life.
He lived 5.5 years more.
On the 5th of May 1821, at the age of 51, he died. His last words were, "France, Army, Chief of Army, Josephine."